Hey guys, welcome back to All Gains Mindset. This is podcast number 4, and today we have our guest Joe with us. So I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Joe.
Welcome, Joe. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yep. Today we're going to go into many different topics, but the main one is going to basically be depression and anxiety in 2019.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the mental health just in general has been really bad in the U.S.
I think it's safe to say that 2019 has been a very weird year. It's been an interesting but very odd year for I know everyone that I've been around this year has been going through a lot of stuff in a specific year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at the news, you've seen a lot of changes in politics, a lot of movements going on, a lot of shootings, a lot of, mental health issues going on. And it just makes you wonder, where we're going to go from here and why is this all happening now? There's not a specific cause to it, but there seems like there's a combination of things that seem to, make people go into this state of depression, anxiety, and it just, people don't really seem to really analyze every aspect possible to it, It's just so easy to just kind of like say it's this or that, but it's a combination of things that you have to really think about and,
I feel like some people will just like they'll acknowledge that it's there, but they won't do anything about it.
Right.
They just pretend like it because if it doesn't affect them, then they don't want to do anything.
Or it just starts with a few problems and then it just builds up out of that, and then now you're in a hole that you can't even get out. The easy way, like you could have solved it, but it was impossible. Or when you have depression and anxiety too, you also seem to lose that motivation too. Yeah. And you have that that social anxiety, you're scared, you don't know, if you don't have really a support system, then you don't know really what to do either. So it's very, very hard to get out of that state. And when you actually do your research, a lot of people, when they get into mental health problems that, they go all the way into, actual depression and stuff like that, it's very hard for them to get out of that. It takes years.
Yeah.
Because
it's hard for them to go and try to get help too. A lot of people don't want to go and ask for help because they think, well, I could just handle it on my own, or maybe they won't understand, and that can cause also an isolation effect. I believe.
Yeah, definitely too. And it just seems that these days we have all this information in our hands, and it's so easy to self-diagnose yourself as I'm depressed now or I have anxiety now, without actually just knowing exactly what's going on. So you're kind of not motivated because you have all this information telling you negative things already. So now you're just seeing it through a negative aspect, like, oh, what am I gonna do? Yeah, who do I tell? How do I get help?
So if you went to a doctor and to try to get a diagnosis, they at least would try to be positive about it to not make you feel so bad. But
that there's help.
Because on the internet and stuff, there's no person to do that. Everything is just it's just bold fact, and they don't care who you are.
Majority is negative. There's a few out there that they're telling you that there's help. You have to be strong and stuff like that. But when all you're reading is 80% negative comments, and that 20% doesn't even matter because you just keep scrolling
because you're sinking. You're basically just sinking, and it's hard to pull you up sometimes from that.
Yep.
The negativity sometimes outweighs the positivity,
and it seems that when you want to research things, also it just seems that you want to relate to other people instead of trying to solve it. You're just trying to see who's going through the same thing as you, but you're not really looking forward to solve it. You just kind of want to sink in like we're all victims, and stuff like that.
The victim mentality,
right?
Pretty much,
and
I feel like people look up stuff just to see if how deep they can go. If it doesn't seem too bad, but they research everything and they're like, oh, I have this, I have this.
Right,
exactly. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just by looking up all this stuff on their own just makes them. I feel like it'll just
even worse,
increase the depression itself.
Well, I think the best thing you can do about that is to basically, it may be hard, it may be extremely difficult to get out of your, of your house or something, but I think you need to go out and basically just experience the world because it's very easy.
You basically have to force yourself to do the things that were causing you to get into that depression. So if you were, let's say, shy or you were not, eating healthy or exercising, like they're telling you to do, because mostly, when you go to a doctor and they ask you, are you eating healthy, are you exercising, the main things. But if you're not that type of person, then most likely that's, helps your depression, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes it worse.
I think it's
so you gotta start. You gotta force yourself, to do good habits, but it's hard now these days because a lot of people don't like develop those good habits. Like.
Yeah, or they're not encouraged to develop good habits,
Right.
like really good habits. Like
there's so many good bad habits, if that makes sense, that you can get into these days. And it's so easy. Like you got TV shows, you got you got video games. You have so many things to distract yourself. So many bad habits that the good habits seem so, hard to do. It's just you need the right motivation, but you're depressed. You don't have that motivation, so it's so easy to just click on a video or something and just just get yourself out of that situation for whatever amount of time you're like distracting yourself.
Well, that's the thing. You can literally lock yourself in your room and you could literally
pretend,
you could be on the internet all day. Yeah,
right.
It's like you could be in a room full of temporary solutions.
Yeah,
and that's all it really is. It's super temporary. And once you're done watching some video or something, you go right back to where you started. You don't really a lot of times progress in that state. It kind of you restart and you go again and you restart.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally
it's a cycle.
you could spend.
There's no way out. If you don't take the initiative and you force yourself out of it.
Time can go by so fast if you if you choose to isolate yourself, and you have the whole world on the internet on your device, right? So months and years can go by, and you could just sit and just
that's the worst thing you can do is withdraw yourself from the people that you had in your life or society in general, because let's say years go by and you're just in your room and stuff like that, you're gonna lose that sense of interaction. You won't know what's going on with the world. You can't really relate to people. There's nothing you can really talk about because you have literally done nothing. So
that creates
you have no
anxiety.
activities, you have no friend groups. You're not caught up on things. So
you got to get out there. I mean, it does help to develop a support system and like go out and hang out with people and like-minded individuals and kind of just go out and do different things. Like,
hopefully, if somebody has depression, they have a good group friends. They have friends or they have family members that care, that they can go to, but they they have to first realize that they need help and that it's okay to be weak and then just trying to like build yourself. Get better that way. You gotta realize that, okay, you're depressed, you have anxiety. Let the people around you help you, and then eventually you get out of there. But you just gotta be patient.
Yeah. You have to be at least slowly working towards finding solutions, and not
analyze your problems first, and then find the solutions, and just be patient with it because it's gonna take a good amount of time. Because your body has to go back to a state of trying to be calm. If you have depression and anxiety, your body, like the chemicals, is not responding well. Your nervous system is, triggered. You're in a fight or flight response, but there's no actual enemy that you can fight. It's all social, it's all mental. So you have to really, maneuver through it. But it takes patience because, that's just how it is. You can't just get out of that state in a day or two.
Yeah, it's like it's like the analogy of running. Like if you if you ran a lot and then you stopped running for a long time and you would just kind of like chill in your room a lot, and then you go out like a few months later or even a few years later for some people, if you go out running again, you could develop some injuries because you have to get back into it.
Right, your muscles are not used to it.
It may not be easy, but it is necessary. And you have to take
start
that
slow.
step.
Just start
exactly.
slow,
You don't have to go run a marathon, but you start walking, then you start power walking, you start jogging, you start running. And it's a process. That's what you can't rush life like that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So if you try to rush things, it could just easily backfire. You could literally start from step one.
Yeah.
You have to climb the stairs. I think
that's also another cause too for a lot of people with anxiety and depression. It's just they feel like they have to rush through life, through certain things, But if you just trying to analyze what's going on and trying to see exactly how can you solve it or where can you go, really think about it, and then try to come up with an actual solution or a path to take.
I think we need to ask why things are happening and dive a little bit more into it instead of just looking over it. Maybe we need to think more into it
No, yeah,
in some
definitely,
situations, and see, we have to see why am I acting like this, and what can I do to. You don't want to play the victim mentality in your own head. You want to think about, okay, today might have been a bad day, but what can I do to make tomorrow a better day, or what action can I take? Maybe if I do 50 push-ups today, for an example, then tomorrow I could do 60. It's a
little
slow
goals
working
like
progress.
that you can even just write down and just check them. You just feels good, that you're actually doing something. Make a little list.
Humans always feel good when we accomplish certain things. Even if we accomplish small things, just like what Jordan Peterson says, he's like, make your bed, like just small things.
Right.
That if you do them, you will feel more accomplished, and you take those baby steps, and eventually you go from little goals, and then you go to bigger goals. Right. And while you're on that journey per se, you're feeling that good feeling from it.
Yeah.
And that can.
But if you really think about it, those big goals are a combination of small goals that got you to that big goal. So it's just you have to.
It's a work in progress, and it's a slow progress, but it's absolutely worth it.
Because it feels like we've been sold this dream that everything is gonna be so fast, the easy way, and that everything is gonna be pretty and it's a rainbow and everything is nice, but it's not gonna be nice. You have to adapt to whatever situation you have. And I know it's hard, because I know certain people have personal problems that they think that nobody else understands them, but you understand yourself,
Yeah.
You know that you need the help, you know that you need to communicate, but if you have that mentality that nobody understands you, or you're a special kind of victim, there's a lot of cases that are pretty similar, like you're not really alone. You just need the right group, the right help, So that's just my take on it,
Even if you go on like social media and stuff, and you see, that could also contribute to the problem, because if you're looking at everybody's best life, that's all you're seeing on social media and stuff, like on the internet. You're seeing everybody's best, yeah, you're seeing everyone's greatest moments, but what you don't see is what's behind the camera. You don't see what's being staged, It's like putting a metaphorical filter over all your videos.
Even if you're aware of that, right? You have that understanding. Even if you go to social media, you're not gonna think about that. You're just seeing people's stories, but you're not really reflecting on exactly what you're seeing. So it's still gonna hit you whether you are aware of it or not.
It's like you go on Snapchat and you see people at this crazy rave party and everybody's having a good time, smiling, drinking, and then you put down your phone for a second and look at yourself like, oh well, I'm in my room, and then it could start to wear on you.
Exactly.
What you don't know is that person's going to go home after that party that night and they're going to be throwing up and they're going to be feeling horrible. That's what you don't see. That's what they're not going to show you that. Same thing in the news, right? They're not going to show you.
Well, that's a whole nother spectrum. There's a lot of politics into it. There's information that you don't know. You'll never know.
There's a lot of things that they won't. People only will let you see what they want you to see.
Right.
That's the main thing of it.
They want to maintain control.
Control is, we all want some degree of control over our lives and others. There's some kind of, it's a state of control.
So what happens if you don't have that control, Things like mental health, that's what happens.
It's a loss of control.
Goes down from there, yeah, exactly.
We don't like what we don't control.
But you're not meant to, that's how you grow, because, we can't control certain things in life. They're going to happen. But if you have this mentality that, that you're a victim and that you expect things to be pretty all the time, then it's gonna hit you 10 times harder than
life
it's supposed
is not
to be.
Supposed to be sunshine and rainbows and flowers and all that nice stuff. It's not like that. It's a balance of good and bad things.
Right.
That
like one day you can be perfectly well. One day you go outside, you get hit by a car, your whole life is
you're done.
Just done. But how do you react to it?
That's on you.
Exactly.
You can choose to react how you want.
And but sure, you're gonna go through depression. You're gonna go sad and stuff like that.
We all have bad days.
Exactly. But the way you naturally think, it's what's gonna take you out of there.
Your mindset will
eventually. It's not like you gotta be like, all right, something bad happens, and in the moment you're like, you know what, this is nothing and stuff like that. No, you have to go through a process. It's a transition. That's how you grow from it.
It's a feel to heal it.
You have to be real with yourself and just be able to adapt to the certain problems that you're dealing with, as hard as they may seem. Because that's the only way you can move out. You can always think you're a victim and keep going through that through years and just complain about life and stuff like that. But you won't get nothing done, and nobody's gonna care. All right, you decided that for yourself. You're gonna stay depressed. You're gonna stay anxious for years, and then sure you can complain to everybody, but nobody's really gonna care if you don't care yourself to get out of there.
Then why would anyone else? Why would anyone else want to care?
And that support system that you had, or it could have been there for you, they don't want to do it no more because you don't want to get out of there.
It all starts with your own mindset. Like if you don't think you're an attractive person, why?
There's only so much a support group can do for you that if you don't really want to go there, then you kind of have to move on too.
You do have to be willing to put in the work. You have to do the work.
Right.
There's no other way.
Like everything.
You have to. That's what we're meant to do. We're always meant to progress in many ways.
It just feels like a lot of people don't seem to cope with the hard times. They don't really seem to acknowledge that it's gonna happen. And when it does, you can't just ignore it. Sure, you can use all these distractions, but eventually you have to deal with it.
As hard as it is, it has to be done.
That's why I fear the new generations coming up with all this technology and all these distractions, is kind of making them not able to cope when hard times come in, and
people are gonna
most likely to be obese, most likely to have a lot more problems due to how we're growing as a society from here. It's scary, man.
Well, growing up behind a screen, these generations are being given cell phones at ages 6, and from there, of course, our brains will get addicted to these phones and these devices. Just back when TV was first invented, I'm sure it was kind of similar, but not to the degree it is today. Yeah. If you're 6 years old and you're given a phone for Christmas and you can't, your brain is automatically, especially at a young age, because your brain is like a sponge when you're younger, so you're gonna automatically adapt at a younger age to these things. So what happens? You grow up behind the screen, and the addiction probably gets worse as compared to someone who's 40 years old and they just get a phone for the first time. Mm-hmm. Those older generations are gonna have a less trouble than these younger generations, because when you start out young with this stuff, it affects your brain even more over time. Definitely,
especially now with all the knowledge that these kids can have, so easy. Mm-hmm. They can get confused and they can get really into things that they don't understand, because they don't have the experience to back it up.
The mind will not progress naturally,
right?
In a way, there's a certain evolution to how we grow up.
Exactly. There is a transition, and now it just seems that you can just read about other people's transition and you can, research and do all that without even you experiencing it yourself. So now, how do you deal with all that? With all those concepts and ideas, you just, Well,
we're already starting to see the cause and effects of the rise of technology, and we're starting to see the new trends that are coming with newer generations.
Right.
With
especially
us,
in the United States.
And especially with our generation, we grew up with
we grew up right before PS2s, technology started.
We had game consoles is what the biggest thing was. Is that consoles started to get a little less expensive, and our parents would give it to us for Christmas, and then that's our version of what the 6-year-olds are now getting with phones.
Yeah.
But we know that video games, once we grew up, that we knew that video games isn't a thing that can last.
Right. It's
cell phones, things like that are connected to the internet. Those things are forever.
Well, it's back when we were kids, we were not able to take our GameCubes and PlayStation 2s in the car ride with us. Yeah.
Exactly, right.
We barely even had, up until a certain age, we didn't even have iPods. Maybe
a good amount of parents too will give you time just to play with, maybe 2 hours to play and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we also had other things to distract ourselves from, more creative ways. We had toys.
Oh, I played with Army Men until I was
stuff like
16,
that, exactly. So we were aware there were other things that we could have done. There was toys, we could color, we could do certain things, but now it's just, there's only one way to distract ourselves,
Well, what I'm saying is, because I actually I remember when I was young, I would go outside to play with the neighborhood kids.
Exactly.
And I would make friends. I would be forced to get out of the house and go, my parents would kick me out. Go make some friends. Go do something. Your friends will actually
knock on your door. It just gets you out.
How many people do you know that will knock on your door?
There's nobody in my street. I don't see no kids on my street.
That's what I'm saying. Because when I was young, I remember seeing kids play all the time, riding bikes, and now everyone's inside. Yeah. Even on hot summer days, people are inside. There's no reason. Why go outside? Go on your phone. Go watch a movie. Yeah, enjoy. Just stay in your room. Have a couple friends over. Play some video games. You don't have to go play sports. No. You have everything you need right here.
I remember the first time I ever, because when I was a kid, it was either I invited my friends here and we would play out in front, either in front of my house, behind my house, inside, whatever. We would be playing with toys or doing something, right? And then and like I would never like go to like neighborhood parks or anything. I would just it would be either at my house or at my friend's house outside. And then one day my friend called me from his house phone to my house phone, calling for me to come out to go to the neighborhood park, and he would invite a whole bunch of other people from the neighborhood, and then we would continue to do that, and we did that every day, 3 years straight.
I remember playing Manhunt. Some of the greatest days of my life.
You're staying active.
Yeah.
You're interacting with other people.
We are social animals. We need to interact with other kids. Like, these kids need to make friends.
I don't know. But I was the type of kid when I was growing up that I would have a group of friends, and we would just imagine things. We would create these games and envision, like we were pirates or we were dragons, stuff like that. Those things actually, like develop your brain to be more creative.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the mind.
Just to imagine things,
creating narratives.
Exactly. And now these days, you can just see a movie about dragons. You can just see this about, videos about pirates and stuff. You don't need to really think.
Well, that's one of the greatest things about toys is that you're given like a toy set, right?
You make your own story.
You make a story with those toys and you act it out when you're a kid. Yeah. Now, you're just watching videos on a screen. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
You're now
people are doing it for you.
Right.
You're not doing it yourself.
You're not making the story anymore. Now you're watching another story.
Yeah.
And that takes away some of that creative things in your mind, right? Yeah. And if we're growing up like that, that can have long-term effects.
Oh no, definitely it will have long-term effects, because that's our creative thinking. You cannot deny that.
Some of the greatest stories just comes from within, doesn't come from without.
Right.
Yeah, like I remember as a kid, there were certain things that me and my friends would play. Like either I had a whole bunch of lightsabers, and my friends and I would like pretend we were like Jedi, Sith, whatever, and we would just hit each other with the lightsabers, and we would create narratives and stuff. And then now with all like the new there's those fan films of Star Wars, and then the new Disney Star Wars movies, and certain parts of those narratives were narratives that we had already thought of, and if we had never thought of those, it would have ruined it. It kind of actually ruins it now, knowing that I created this in my mind,
right,
and someone had done it already.
But that's how it's done. That's how it's done. Being creative, you underestimate your own creative ways of making stories and stuff like that. That's how all these people making movies and stuff are getting rich, by being creative and just being themselves.
Yeah, it's like playing with water guns.
You could be a creator of great content, but if you don't really exercise it, you don't practice it, you don't write it down, if you don't get to know people, that can make that happen. You don't know a cameraman, you don't know certain people that likes to act, then how are you gonna get it done? You gotta build certain skills that the newer generations are not really getting no more, So, and that sense also comes to the technology that we have is making us more isolated, but the way that we make things, we build things, is in groups, So it's a lot of things that we're not developing these days, and that's why I say I fear for the new generations,
Yeah, I know so many people that have kids that are getting older, and they're getting to that 6, 7, 8 year range.
Yeah.
And I literally fear for them every day because they're
growing up with apps. And
my neighbors, I know my neighbors. Actually, there's a couple that are down the street too. I see them already. They're really small. They look like they're going into kindergarten or first grade. And I see them with the big iPads and stuff.
Yes.
I even I know toddlers. I know parents that will give toddlers they'll put the iPad up with a movie on it to get them distracted so they can do whatever they need to do.
Right. It's easier for the parents just to
distract the
kids. They want to change their diapers. If they don't put anything on, they're gonna fuss around and it's gonna be hard for them. But if they put something on to distract them, then they can do it easy. But once they do that, then that's all they want to do.
Right.
They just want to keep watching a specific thing over and over.
The greatest weapon is the mind, and when that gets compromised, that's when things start to go wrong.
Go down, yeah, exactly. Your body will follow after that, and then you have no energy.
Mental will defeat the physical.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems that, the way we're going, we have to be more careful of our mental health than, I would say, our bodies, even though that, with the food industry and,
oh god,
I feel like even the food
all the
industry
social norm that, the
The food industry knows what they're doing too. They know what they're doing.
I feel like the food industry also is a big
well, that's our source of energy, you know?
I feel like it's also a big...
A lot of people don't think about that, you know? It's just like, they see it as pleasure, but in reality, that's your source of energy, you know?
Well, it's like for a lot of people who suffer from, like, depression, what do? They eat, and they're not eating like, healthy foods. You know? They're eating chips, they're eating cookies, and
dopamine levels.
Yeah, well, that's what it all is. It comes down to we want that pleasure. Humans will naturally find some way to find some pleasure somehow. The easiest way now to do that is to go and just buy some cheap knockoff foods, and which is only gonna make you want more.
Right, in the long run, it's really gonna affect you.
And it's just horrible food, like all the sugars and everything.
Yeah,
and it will affect you over time, and we just want more of it because we're always looking for that dopamine effect. We're always looking for that constant pleasure, especially if you think that you're suffering, if you feel like that you're a victim, you always want to find that healing. So, and you'll find it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if it has to be from constant eating of garbage, then
you will.
Then that's what it will be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it'll come down to. You will find a way to somehow, But if you can channel that and channel your focus into looking for more positive solutions,
right?
That's when you can start seeing some good
goes
results.
Back to good habits, and,
healthy habits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There is a big difference between healthy habits and negative habits,
mm-hmm.
and there's many forms of that, of course.
I feel like...
And the thing is also... I'm sorry.
No, you can go.
No, I would just say that, you see it all the time with... There's so many examples of people, that you see that their health is not well. You see that their energy is not good. They're always complaining and all that. But we don't learn from that. We
don't ask why.
We follow the same patterns. And then, we're not happy with the results. But you're seeing that, You're following, just because a majority of people do certain things doesn't mean that you have to follow that either, Because at the end, you're going to be as unhealthy, unhappy, no motivation, no energy. And then, you pass that on and on. It's just a cycle.
And it sucks to have to watch, your loved ones, some of them go through that. And
suffer, right?
And some of them, sometimes when you try to help them, they won't want you to help them, or they won't really. Sometimes we don't even recognize the problem, right? So we kind of deny help without even realizing that we do. So if you see a friend going through something, you might try to help them or give them some helpful advice that may help them. They might say, no, I'm okay. That's not gonna, that doesn't pertain to me. That won't help me. That won't affect me.
Right. They know it's bad, but it comes to a really bad trauma or experience to really change that, When your doctor tells you, all right, now you got diabetes, you have to do this because you have to survive. Now you do that change. But, if you don't see it, if you put everything under the rug, who cares?
Sometimes it's hard to take that action and really start diagnosing the problem and fixing what can I do to fix this.
Yeah, you need either a traumatizing experience, or you need a right mentor, but that's so hard these days,
Finding proper mentorship
there seems to be
hard.
not a lot of guidance.
Yeah, I feel like once you have depression and sometimes you feel like you don't have it, like you say yourself that you don't have it. I know a lot of people that used to have a structure of what daily routine.
Right.
They would have a daily routine, and then once they start getting depressed and all these other things, their routine starts to deteriorate
mm-hmm.
and becomes nothing. And then every day, if let's say every day in the morning they wake up at 7 a.m, they get a cup of coffee and they go for a run. Right. And then they do, let's say if they're in college, they do homework, and then they go to work. Now they wake up at 10 a.m. They get a cup of coffee and go to work right then, and then they go home from work. They go back to bed, and then they do it all over again.
Right.
And they don't have a structure. They don't have anything. All they do is just get up, go to work, go back.
And they're not happy doing it. They know that they hate it, but they do it anyway.
And sometimes I know from personal experience that they realize that their routine is ruined, and they're like, oh, I'll get back to it another time. I'll
right.
get back on it, but
they don't.
But they don't.
Yeah,
they don't do it
because the motivation is not there.
Yeah.
And
true motivation, true desire to do
right.
those things.
Especially if, let's say you have, like he said, you have an actual routine, and you're focused on this routine, you're getting things done day by day, but then when you start to worry about a certain problem that you have and you don't know how to solve it, and then you're always in your head, that's when your brain starts to kick in those adrenalines, those chemicals. Now your body is in a state of, fight or flight. It all slowly builds up. And then you stop doing the things that you were used to doing. Now you worry more, and then you start asking what's wrong with me, what's going to happen with my friends, with my loved ones. Then you start to worry even more.
It's a building block. It builds and builds and builds.
And it's just sad, man, because a lot of people are not getting the way out of that,
I know. Add to that the fact that everybody's being given all this medication, man. All of this, all of them.
That's a whole topic right there.
All the side effects from these.
Because drugs. I know that medication is just prescribed like crazy, and in a lot of households, I bet you'll find some type of medication or what they call it, like painkillers, and
not necessary.
What is that thing that's Xanax? Yeah. Yeah, jeez. Like that's being given out, and
I know a lot of people now.
And it's being abused. Anything can be abused. Okay, so any medication prescribed can be abused, obviously.
And of course, addictive.
Very addicting. I know. Like if you don't know how to solve your problems and you are looking for a way out, you might just you might overdo it on that medication that the doctor gave you, which you probably might not even need anyway, but they're gonna prescribe it to you.
Most likely,
and that could be very dangerous.
Because I know if you have depression and anxiety and all those mental health problems, I know that they try to prescribe you antidepressants to get your, I don't know exactly what's the name of it, serotonin or something like that up again.
Serotonin, or was it oxytocin?
It's one of those.
Or maybe all of them. Look it up, But let's say you start slow, with your antidepressants and you try, but then you fall back again, and then it gets worse.
Yeah.
And now you need a higher dose of antidepressants, and then you need more of this, more of that, and now you
end up taking a lot more than you should be. Yeah.
But you're not dealing with your actual problem.
You're trying to alter your brain in a way that probably should not be altered.
Right.
And that can cause a lot of side effects that you may not be prepared to handle.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's
serotonin. Yeah,
and it goes back to not the right guidance of what exactly is the plan. They just kind of like, all right, take this, and you read it on the paper how much you have to take and what is it for, but you don't really know for sure exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what's the long-term plan in this? They don't tell you like the real purpose of this is to get your chemicals right and then go back to a lifestyle that you want.
Yeah,
but what if you don't know what lifestyle you want? You don't know what to do.
Exactly.
What if you don't have the right system? The right family, the right people around you. So it's just, the chemicals can do so much, and then it just gets to a point where you have to get more and more into, prescriptions, and that's money as well. So it's just not good.
No one wants to wake up in the morning and then have to take morning medication of like 8 to 12 different medications.
That's depressing itself.
That is depressing.
So taking healthy supplements is one thing. Taking those medications is a whole.
And you start reminiscing about your old days when you had no symptoms and stuff like that. So you just
sometimes once we start, very hard to stop.
Yeah.
And once it goes into the long-term effects as well.
And that's another thing too, when a lot of people say you have to live in the present, and make what you can now, but you get stuck in the past and you worry about the future all the time, it's just, you can't control that sometimes. Yeah. You can through practice, you can try to meditate and you can try to control your thoughts, but a lot of people don't know how to do that exactly, so they're just in their head thinking about the past, and then the future, who could they have been?
It could be very
hard. Am I gonna get better? Stuff like that, so many thoughts.
Us as humans, like, we need, what a lot of humans need to do is, yes, focus on the present right now.
Mm-hmm. What can you do?
They should not be focusing on the past, only on the mistakes that they've made and how they can fix that.
Analyze.
And the only things that they should be looking at in the future are goals that they want to achieve in the future. But the only way they can get to those goals is by doing something now, in the present. Right. And that's the problem. Everyone's looking at false narratives that they're trying to create, that they want to make for themselves.
Yeah, big futures.
Without trying to put in goals in between them. And then once they don't achieve those goals because they didn't actually have the goals set in the first place, that's how they get more depressed.
Well, yeah. But that's what I was saying. We're not meant to be content. We're not creatures of contentment.
Mm-hmm.
We're always looking for the next thing. So when we do get content, there's always that overlooming fact in the back of our heads, like, maybe I should try something new. Like, the journey does not end.
It will never end.
No,
That's the beauty of it.
So, but when you try to end it is when you could fall into some kind of trance that you won't be, happy with. Like doing the same job that you hate, instead
you're stuck.
of...
When you feel stuck, then you're in a state where
we're not meant to be stuck. We're always meant to be... The hunt is always on,
right?
Basically.
That's why when you see a lot of people that feel stuck and then they feel, they have that victim mentality, that's when, suicide thoughts start to happen. And that's another big thing now. The suicide rate is so high.
I know a lot more men commit suicide than women. That I do know.
Yeah, I know.
What are the stats?
Let's see. So I seen in 2017 there were 47,103 recorded suicides. That's up, and that was up from 42,773 from 2014.
So it's increasing.
Increasing very rapidly.
And we have to look. I mean, once again, we look at why is it increasing. The factors are.
There's a lot of men die 3.5 more often than women. 3.5 more times than women.
Jeez, that's actually a big difference.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right. But isn't it true that women do attempt more to suicide, but they do it in such a way that they don't actually, die?
I know men. They do it more. Like they commence the act, but
that's because the way they do it, is more, violent. Like men are not afraid to just get a gun and just blow their brains out.
Yeah. Like half of all suicides, it says right here, are from firearms.
Yeah.
And then also says the annual age-adjusted suicide rate, so like an average, is 13, almost 13 and a half per 100,000 individuals.
Jeez.
So what about the age range?
So that means a lot of younger kids like our age even younger,
right,
are committing suicide.
I do believe that
because
technology
they feel lost, they feel stuck. They're sending them dreams about being millionaires and stuff like that, being business owners and why not, and it's just they gotta realize it's really, really small steps that it takes. That it's not a rush. It's not a race.
So and everybody has their
there's
own
so many
clock.
pressures and expectations from family, relationships, and stuff like that. When at the end is what do you want to do?
Exactly. We're always trying to.
And
impress.
are you afraid to take that step? Are you afraid to think is it gonna work?
Yeah, it's like what will you do?
Basically,
what we're trying to impress.
So there's a study from 2016 says that in 2016 it says for ages, let's say 15 to 24, 5,723 in the U.S. It's a 4 male to female ratio, so more men.
Jeez.
So 4,575 males to 1,148 females. For just age 15 to 24.
There's so many factors for that too, from
a lot of young
politics,
people,
from social conditioning,
and
a lot of
conditioning, and like because we're so young, our hormones are going crazy.
Going through a lot of things physically,
and so that's also a big factor in it too. And I feel like and especially kids going through all these different hormonal changes with the internet does not help.
And nobody that really seems to understand them.
Yeah.
Like if you have a group of friends that you all going through the same, like almost the same thing, then at least you don't feel that bad. We all trying to move on and try to get to a certain point in life. But when you don't have that, and all you're seeing is celebrities in YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, then you just really feel lost. You feel worried. Who are you gonna be?
Yeah, especially when you go online, you see everybody living so well, and it makes you it doesn't make you feel better.
Yeah,
really, it makes you feel worse.
Especially now I'm 21, so now I'm seeing all my friends and people graduate, with their degrees and all stuff, and it's all smiles and it's great. But I wonder, in a few years how everything's gonna turn out to be. Just because you get a certain job that maybe you don't like or you're being kind of pushed to, because of expectations that you even do on yourself, to do things that you don't even like. So I just wonder how, if they're gonna be happy or at least in peace, because happiness is not forever, but are you peaceful with your job, what you're doing? Is this really what you wanted to do in life? Just makes me think what the future holds for us.
There's a whole expectation of you have to go to school and then you go to college and you have to get this degree, you have to get into this debt, and then maybe you'll get this job, just maybe with that degree.
It's a lot of pressure, especially on young kids. They don't know what they want to do yet. It's not because you're 21 or you're 18, you're already a man and you should know exactly what to do. You're still growing. Your brain doesn't stop until you're 25 to develop.
Yeah.
And we're putting all these pressures, and you have to accomplish all these things.
And if you don't do it, you're gonna be shamed, basically.
Right.
Or you're just gonna get called out.
And there's so many skills too that we're not teaching the younger generations how to study well, how to focus on certain things. They get distracted so fast. It's just so hard for them to pass their classes, to move on, to actually retain the information that they have. So, it's no surprise that that's happening. And who they blame? They blame the kid. It's his problem that he doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do that. But how did he became that way, And it just makes you think, who's really the bad guy here,
Yeah, the people that, because when we're so young, we need to be influenced. Like, the people need to push us in the right direction, because we don't know anything anyway.
Right.
And people that do know things need to influence us to do the right thing. If no one's doing that, then we're screwed. And it sucks that people would blame those kids for the way that they're acting.
For being lost.
They're just being lost.
Exactly. And you think about it, a lot of family structures these days, they're lacking guidance. They're lacking, a lot of kids are being raised without fathers, A lot of kids are being raised with mothers working a good amount of hours so they have a house, a shelter, food, and they're not getting that interaction or somebody to look up to.
There's a lack of a father figure, absolutely. And that's a big problem.
If you actually look at the suicides for young men without fathers, you see that they're, like 3 or 4 more times likely to suicide if they don't have a father figure or a right guidance.
Yeah, well, the shooters, I believe, like a lot of the school shooters were like raised by single moms, and it had a really crazy effect on them without a father figure.
Yeah.
And a mentor.
A lot of people figure. That they do crimes like that and they seem as psychopaths and stuff like that. Look at their childhood. Look at who raised them.
The conditioning is a big problem.
It's so easy to blame. It's easy to blame the psychopath for his actions, which he is responsible for.
Yes, he is. But look at
the main motivators. That kind of influence.
It could have been averted.
It could have been averted. Exactly.
Once again, look at how were they raised and how were they influenced in their early life to have them come up to this stage.
Yeah. And it just sucks.
It takes years to create something like that.
Yeah, it just sucks because like this little kid, is playing army man on the ground in his house. Killing, I'm gonna kill you, and and he's making a mess in the house, and the mom comes home at 9 p.m. from a double shift.
She just wants to sleep and stuff like that.
No father. Right. She just wants to clean up the house a little, go to bed. But little Jimmy over here is being a ruckus, so she gives him a good smacking, for being a bad boy, even though he's
just being a kid,
Yeah, he's just being a kid. He doesn't know better if you just treat him, influence him the right way. But because they think about themselves, and so they and it would just happen and happen over and over and over.
So now that kid has been emotionally abused, physically abused, if you think about it, and then he's lost.
Yeah.
So how do you get out of that?
He has to cope with things. He has to find ways to cope with the way things are, and
drugs most likely. I mean,
drugs,
that's a lot of things to distract yourself.
Yeah, and then they turn into the people that end up shooting up
the bad
schools
people,
or something.
quote unquote criminals, quote unquote.
They're just lost. I think they're just lost, and everything could have been averted, but it's such a double-edged sword because a father figure left. Yeah, that's bad, right? And then the mother has to now become the father figure as well, technically in the household, and so now she has to work more. She has to take care of the kids by herself,
She's
take care of the house. Yeah, and it sucks on them, and that in turn also affects the children.
And it affects their relationships. It affects everything.
And that's also why it's not high for people that age, but that's why also people will commit suicide in that age.
And I get it, there's no perfect family, but we could try and do better, we can try to analyze our problems and try to deal with it, but it's just so hard to blame others and just kind of look the other way,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Take responsibility when you can, but realize that there are factors that play into your life that can cause you to act certain ways. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of motivators and influences, and we have to really look at what's influencing us and how is this making us either better or worse. Really, put some thought into that.
Right.
And I feel like certain things, like going back to coping, that can help you. I feel like there's certain types of media there's certain medias that can actually help you. Like music, in a sense, can be a good thing and a bad thing. I feel
it's a double-edged sword. You know,
because like I know from personal experience that a lot of certain types of music are very good. Because especially when you hear things that that sounds so similar to what you're going through, and you're like, cool.
You can relate to them. But what else can you do? Just relate. That's all.
Yeah, and so like if you're feeling that way, you listen to that song, and you're like, all right, I'm for me, I feel better when I listen to those songs, and then I just continue, and I'm like, all right, and then there's one band that I used to listen to all the time, nonstop, and it would make me feel good, and now I don't listen to them unless if I need to.
What band was that?
It was Mudvayne.
Oh.
Mudvayne was one of the only bands that I would listen to over and over again.
Right.
And when I was really young, and I felt like I was just like lost sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I'd always listen to them, and now I'd only listen to them if I'm feeling that way and I can push on, because I know.
And most of the time,
I know that I don't need to be that way anymore.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong, but most of the time, let's say you listen to that type of music, you feel that emotion, you start crying, right? You will cry sometimes listening to it and stuff like that.
Certain times, because for me, the only times I would cry from a song other than Snuff by Slipknot is a really sad song. There's certain songs that like I'll start to see like flashbacks. You
visualize and stuff like that.
I start literally seeing things and seeing them like if I was there.
And that affects your brain and it affects your body. It's not. Well,
isn't that
really
the intent?
Good, to be honest,
isn't that like the intent? A lot of the songs anyway, to make you feel like that way. That's a lot of what the media. There's intentions of media.
The solution is to not try to think about anything. Just to let your body relax. You know, you need sleep. You need to eat healthy.
It's like a more spiritual state.
Right, exactly. Calm state, It doesn't have to be spiritual. You don't have to go all that way, like that. But I'm just saying, just try to calm yourself. But it's so hard.
There are moments that you need to relax, man. You gotta just take it easy for a moment. That's why meditation is so powerful.
Right.
And so overlooked.
Meditation in the right way, to actually practice to not think about anything,
Yes, a lot of
visualization, meditation, and a lot of like things, chakra healings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what you want is just to be calm, And
you want to be in that peaceful state.
Right. And then try to deal with life and decision making and stuff like that, and just slowly, get to a point where, you're actually comfortable being yourself,
Yeah. Sometimes it was really hard for me to like try to stay comfortable. Like I always would just want to sleep. And just not, and I would just wanted to sleep, but I was never comfortable.
Right.
And I couldn't fall asleep because I was not comfortable. I would just sit there.
Your body's sleep cycle is just messed up now because you're always sleeping.
And then I would just stare into the ceiling.
That's another problem. A lot of people are not getting a lot of sleep. Sleep is lacking.
Right. They're working. A lot of people are working a lot of hours, or they can't get sleep. They're always thinking. So
and the anxiety.
You need you need a pattern. You need a cycle of sleep. You're trying to hopefully try to sleep at a certain time every day and wake up almost at the same time every day, and your body starts to see what's going on and getting used to it. But
sleep's very important.
With work and so many issues and stuff like that, you don't get that cycle. So you just add that to the list. You know what I'm saying? So. Now you can't really sleep well because you wake up at a certain time when you don't want to. So now you got 4 hours of sleep because you're used to waking up at 9 or 10 in the morning and stuff like that. So it's just.
And a lot of times your thoughts will keep you awake.
Yeah, you're always in your head.
Sometimes it'd be things that would not want you to go to sleep. Like I know this because this has happened to me a lot, and it was a long period of time where it would just continue to happen. Where I would have night terrors or things like that where I wouldn't want to go to sleep because that's what always happened when I would go to sleep would be a night terror or something similar to that, and that kept me awake for so long. I would only sleep if I passed out somewhere, and I wouldn't recollect falling asleep.
That does a lot of damage to the body, man.
That does a lot of damage.
I know a lot of people that go through that, or they wake up in the middle of the night, they can't go back to sleep, and it becomes
You just listen to music, you distract yourself until you get tired and then sleep at whatever time, and then just keeps, repeating that, and it just
There's
gets
an imbalance
worse and worse.
of sleep, and a lot of people are sleep deprived, and that affects their health as well.
Yeah.
So you need sleep.
And then they just tell you, just sleep, but it's just
sleep.
You can't really sleep when your whole schedule is already messed up.
Yeah.
You got to start slowly.
You have to reset.
Right.
Reset yourself.
You have to at least take some.
But
kind
nobody
of,
has a 9 to 5, set schedule these days or stuff like that. We all work in different hours. We have to do overtime. There's so many things, like
people work late.
Well, people feel obligated. If I don't work, they're not. Like it's like trying to impress your boss in essence. Like you're trying to work to, if I don't do this double shift, then my boss is not going to respect me much, and maybe I'm not going to get that promotion. And he won't respect me. He won't give me that promotion I was looking for if I don't do the 16-hour shift.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing too. Talking about work, the works that we have and the jobs that we're getting, and especially since you said before that a lot of young men are committing suicides too. I wonder what jobs they have. What activities they did. Well,
I guarantee you, they're not enjoying their job as much as they could be.
They could have had like a decent job, but if they didn't like it, that wouldn't help them anyway.
Well, a lot of people seem to be not going
money and then not really analyzing the jobs that they're getting, and is it really making me happy? And when you think about that, it seems like a lot of people are more judgmental towards it. Like, just get money, man. You just gotta, day by day, you just gotta get your money and stuff like that.
A job is a job.
Get that money.
Let's get this
Let's get this
and then show it off on Snapchat or Instagram when you get paid. Like we know you're broke,
You're gonna spend that money in 2 days, bro.
Right, exactly. So what's the point?
You're not gonna, that's $40, man, singles. What are you doing?
You're literally showing that to just give it to somebody.
Is that supposed to make me feel like you're more attractive, or like you're the man, or like you're an independent woman that gets your money and stuff like that? It's just why,
I feel like most of the people that do that anyway are just gonna give it to somebody for their bills anyway. So that's why ooh, look at all my money. Oh, see, it's gone. I don't have any money anymore.
Yeah, you work these jobs, but you don't even like your job anyway. So you kind of you're basically slaving for a quick job. I mean,
you think that the paycheck is gonna make you feel like it was worth it, but it's not. Honestly.
A lot of people also not pursuing what they really want to do.
Yeah.
So there are many people that have opportunities and they have passions and they also have like a lot of skills, but they don't utilize those skills to their best advantage.
To do it.
Yeah. So let's say you're a good guitar player, like extremely good, and you're afraid to go into a band, or maybe you have public anxiety, right? So you're not going to take that extra step. You're not going to join that band, and you're not going to utilize your full potential as a guitar player, right?
It's a hobby, even though you can make money out of your hobby.
There's a lot of hobbies that you have potential to make money off of, but we choose not to. Maybe we're scared, or we don't want to take that extra step, or we don't want to fill out the paperwork. Like, there's so many things that are preventing our minds.
I mean, that comes out, from a quote I heard from Jim Carrey, was that you can fail at something that you don't even like. So why not try to at least do something that you like? And if you fail, then you fail. But
you tried.
Exactly. We're trying to do things that we don't even like, and then we fail at them, and then now you're, it's too late now.
And now you're just pissed off. It's like,
It's like, you study to be an accountant or something like that, for example, the business world, and you don't even like that, you don't like the desk job, you don't like the stress, the deadlines for papers and stuff like that, and then you get fired because the company needs money or something happened, they got a lawsuit, and now you're fired. What can you do? Or, a lot of things that happen in these days is sexual harassment. Let's say you get a sexual harassment case on you at a job that you don't even like. Now you have no job and your resume is messed up. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, there's like that whole thing with guys not wanting to work with women at the workplace because they're afraid to get Me Too'd or something.
The social conditioning now and the social interactions that we have it's very dangerous these days.
The potential to be.
You can get sued for almost a lot of things, that back in the day you were not,
Everybody's trying to be very cautious about like everything they do.
Quote unquote people getting triggered, and now they can make money out of that and ruin your whole career.
They can.
And now you got depression anxiety.
We're looking for that way to get that easy money, and how can I mess up somebody else's day to make a quick buck?
Right.
And it works.
Personal, a lot of personal
personal issues.
It's pretty much the downfall of the legal system, honestly.
Yeah, it's becoming a failed society.
What happened to laughing now? Like laughing at insults and stuff like that, or just not
caring. We don't laugh anymore. We just cry.
We cry.
We complain,
and then we're gonna go isolate ourselves, and then go and make a tweet about it on Twitter.
And plan our revenge.
We write a paragraph on Facebook.
And we're gonna insult. Just talk about Donald Trump on Twitter.
Or just go on social media and
pissed off.
Write a paragraph on Facebook.
Be a keyboard warrior, exactly.
Yeah, keyboard warrior. That's when. Wow, this guy said this to me today, and I am extremely offended.
And get other people to go at him, and now the other guy's depressed because nobody likes him no more because of funny remark or a joke or a joke.
Yeah, you start a Twitter war and
it's just.
We complain
it's funny, it's funny, but it's not,
So much complaining. Like, you can complain about anything. We're not looking even at, like, the positive or anything. We're like, wow, it's raining. This day sucks. I'm just going to go outside and go, wow, this is stupid. This is stupid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not even me trying to make fun of, the people that are going through it. It's just the conditioning that makes you go through it, because... it can happen to any of us. It can happen to all of us in this, podcast. You never know. We can all be victims of depression and anxiety and mental problems so easy.
It's extremely easy these days.
Exactly.
More easier now than ever.
And we're saying that now, but when it goes down, then you get in that victim mentality now, and now you're kind of one of them now.
It can get hard to overcome.
And your whole personality can change in an instant.
Once again, that's exactly one of the reasons I advocate just.
Do your best.
Do your best and hang out with people that are like-minded and, don't neglect your friends and your family and keep in contact, go to social events, communicate effectively.
Be real with yourself,
Yeah, be real with yourself and be real with others.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be something that you're not.
Be an actor.
Yeah.
You can't be an actor 24/7. That's a job.
That's a lot of work that you don't.
It's not a lifestyle.
You don't need to put a lot of energy into.
Yeah.
You don't need to try to be fake.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you anywhere very far.
Definitely not.
Be genuine, and
you have to be genuine, because no one will, because once people realize that you're not genuine, then no one will ever treat you the same.
Mm-hmm.
If people think they're full of shit, then
I guess
all the time.
A lot of characteristics that we're forgetting about, honor, virtue, a lot of things that we're not really learning no more. It's so easy to lie and to get ourselves, into a negative mindset that we forget about, the people in the past who were honorable.
It's so easy to say, why should I not do this, compared to why should I do this? Saying, maybe I don't, not today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, people like to take the easy way out of everything.
But it's so easy to take the easy way.
Yeah. Because it is easy.
Yeah, precisely.
That's why everyone needs to learn to do things harder way. To feel accomplished on whatever it is.
Right.
Because for some reason, I don't know why, but every time I try to do something, I always do it the hardest way possible. And I don't know why. It just naturally
and you
happens.
get the best reward.
And humans are always looking for, we're always trying to overcome challenges. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about life is overcoming challenges and then feeling accomplished because you've done it.
You did something new, you accomplished something.
And that creates a really good feeling in the brain and the body.
And now you know what you're capable of, all right, I did this.
Well, that's one of the greatest things about competing in sports is that you're always trying to become better every day, right? And you're trying to win that game or that sport.
I think that's a great advice for let's say if you're having a kid and you're doing that, make them go into sports if they want to, of course.
Get them in sports early.
Right.
Have them try out different things.
Because now you have a group of people, you're doing something together. You're being physically active.
Yeah.
We're
very tribalistic as a species. We're very tribalistic.
And then he knows what to accomplish out of things. He has goals. He wants to be better to help his team. He's for himself too.
Teamwork is very valuable to learn at an early age. It's very important
to teach
that.
It kind of gives you a status too. When you're an athlete, it gives you a sense of confidence, and people know that you're physically and mentally strong. That's why it's a status. A lot of people probably are more attractive to athletes than just your regular guy that plays video games and doesn't do much.
Well, they also have a very positive mindset. They're always trying to overcome. And, I mean, the first step they always try to do is overcome themselves. Right. And once they do that, then they're always trying to conquer the day, seize the day, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're doing things.
They're taking action.
One thing that I'm not really a fan of dealing with sports is that now everybody gets a trophy. At the end of
there's a lot of things going on.
At the end of the the season or whatever, everyone will get a trophy.
Nobody wants to lose.
There has to be
no one likes to lose, but there's always a loser.
You have to lose to win.
And when they lose at life, because life will make you lose.
You're gonna lose.
They don't know how to cope with it, and then that goes back to depression and anxiety and stuff like that.
Well, if you grow up thinking that you're never gonna lose and you're a winner, you're perfect, and then you do lose as you get older.
Children need to realize that you're gonna lose sometimes, but
how
are you going to win? What are you gonna do?
character.
Yeah, what are you gonna do to win the next?
Yeah,
time?
so it's like if you're young and you're in sports and you get a trophy for like anything you do, or even get like a trophy for showing up, that's conditioning right there. It's like, you're gonna win no matter what, and that's not true.
I know I had gotten a few, not like towards the end of me playing sports. I started getting a few of those, and I hated it. I hated getting those trophies. Like, why do I want a trophy?
Kind of makes you feel like a little worse then.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
do I deserve this trophy?
I don't want this trophy.
Well, it's like
I want the number. I want the one that says first on it.
The big one. I
want
real.
the big one.
Yeah, well,
no one should be content with getting one of those
Participation.
good job, good effort trophies.
Yeah, it's like when I was little and I played when I played baseball when I was little. I never like got any home runs or anything. So everybody that would get a home run or something would get like a little trophy. And at the end of the season, I didn't accomplish I haven't done anything to make myself stand out.
Right.
So I was not worthy of a trophy in all honesty. But I got a trophy anyway for attending like every game.
Attendance.
And so I had like a little attendance trophy, like, oh, you were there. But I don't think that is I don't like that.
Do you really want to show that off? Is it really
the
a
only
thing?
time I feel like attendance would matter is only in only in major league sports. That's the only time, because there's a lot of players that would go out every day and play, right? They could do whatever. They might not do anything, but if they go out every day and play, then they have a record.
If you get a
that
trophy,
is a record. If you're doing a season, that's nothing.
Right.
If you get
a little kid,
if you get a trophy for just showing up, then it's not really much of an accomplishment. I mean,
If
like,
anything,
it is.
it shows discipline, but you shouldn't really get
a trophy,
a reward from it. You just
you could just get good job.
Inside you feel good because you're disciplined and you showed up. And you got the benefit from it,
Yeah, but
I wouldn't get that from your coach. Your coach should say,
job.
"Good
You
job.
always showed up.
Been here every day.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
And I appreciate that, and that's all you should get.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't want to get the trophy.
That is in yourself. You getting that from someone that you look up to, not just only literally, but spiritually, mentally. That should feel good and should promote you to continue.
Yeah, but I don't want to get the same kind of trophy as the guy who got like 5 home runs during the whole. It's not the same category.
Yeah,
it's just not.
The only trophy that you should get that are the same are first, second, and third place.
Yeah,
right.
And that's it.
If
you even get a trophy, but that's it. Those are the only.
But you're not always gonna win, and to condition that is little wrong, in my opinion. Because you have to fail in life in order to succeed.
To grow.
Yeah.
That's how you.
Life is about growing.
I think there was a video on YouTube that a guy was practicing, a little kid, he was practicing martial arts. And he couldn't break the board. So he starts crying. And then his coach, his mentor, he talks to him about it. He builds character out of that. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. Like, if you don't get a trophy, let's say you break down, you're frustrated, you cry. Somebody talks to you, tells you, that you're going to do better and that patience, hard work is going to pay off.
Yeah.
Then that's building, that's growing. And that's way better than just getting a trophy and being, yay, I won something. But not realizing that there was potential for your growth, but it's never going to happen because you always win.
Yeah.
I
think that's also a problem with ask-holes. Ask-holes, when they ask you they ask you something that and you give them the advice, but then they just turn around and go do the same exact thing that they were doing before.
That's the story of my life.
It's the story of our lives.
They need something like a certain situation for them to grow. And
you need that trauma. You need that triggering.
Because we'll give them the advice that they need, but it's up to them to take action for it.
But at least if they go through it, at least if they go through a certain problem and they have that advice, at least they're going to go with it with some knowledge, It's better than nothing, than just going with it without no knowledge. So it's not like your advice is going to go bad. It's just that at the present moment, it's not going to really work and he's going to keep doing it. But when it happens, he's going to think of, all the advice and, how to get out of there. But you just gotta let him go through it. At least he knows a little bit.
He's going to he or she is going to regret not doing it when
it could have been avoided.
But
at least he knows something.
Yeah. And we everyone that succeeds has gone through failure. But if you just continue to go through failure, knowing the answer already, knowing how to fix it, and you just don't do it, that's a problem. Yeah. And that you need to really pause. Let's reevaluate and then go forward, not just continue to do the same thing over and over again.
That's why we have to use our logical skills and to really analyze our problems and just grow from it. But if you think that, without thinking, you think that the same thing's going to keep working, and that's how you get stuck. And you go back to depression and anxiety. It's just so many factors to it.
especially in the education system that we're in today, and what they're
it
promoting.
Seems forced, like nobody takes their time really to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm thankful for those teachers that I had, and I know there's still teachers like that they take their time with certain students because we all have our own issues, we all have our own way of learning, but everything now is so systematic that a lot of people are not gonna get the same level of knowledge in the same class, just because everybody learns different.
Yeah, I know. I had a lot of different teachers. They had a lot of different styles. There were certain teachers that were really about like making sure the kids understood everything, and then I had ones that were just, robots. They like you need to write
follow
this down,
the guidelines,
follow all of this, and if you can't, then you're screwed.
You're dumb,
and you can't do it. And like teachers that are like that, that's gonna affect the students because the students have to look up to these teachers, right? And so like, if these students can't follow the class, they're gonna feel like they're stupid, they're dumb, and it's gonna and then it just affects the confidence of the students, and it's just a downhill from there. And even with social interactions in school too, like certain people.
At least give them some hope. After class you can come see me if you need help. Let them know that we care at least, but not even that sometimes. And
even social reactions with others, like social interactions with other students, like certain students, they can be complete dicks and just be like, fuck you, I'm gonna take your books.
Right.
I'm gonna.
No, the worst feeling is when you get the test results and you have a bad grade, and there's always this thing where people show each other's grades. And you're just so embarrassed, man. Like, what do you get? And you just show them that F, and they're like, 37. It's alright. I had a B minus. I'm like, man, it's frustrating, kind of. It's just, maybe if it was a different test with different, questions or a different format, you could have been that one with the A, or you know what I'm saying? So it's just
I remember when
different
I was a
subjects
kid,
that
I remember in my school when I was a kid in my classes, like every time we would get a grade, like we would get our grades. Let's say my grade was 110. Let's say for just lack of, I'd say my grade was 110. Everyone's going through their grades. So I got a 70. Ha ha ha! I'm so funny. I got a 30.
Like it's right.
And then
it's cool.
I got an 80. Oh, that's cool. And then I'm like, yeah, I got 110. And they're like, oh, you loser.
Yeah.
You're a nerd.
Nerd.
Yeah,
exactly. You gotta love the culture, man.
You gotta just love that.
Yeah.
And people like bullies in school like are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a necessary evil. It's weird because
I agree with that actually.
Bullies are something to build character upon other people.
Right.
A lot of the kids
but
won't
it's just
themselves.
how to deal with a person that's bullying you. Like you gotta know what you need to do. You need to have discipline. You need to know
strategize,
when to
how you're gonna cope with it, how you're gonna deal with it.
You need to know
what type of person
what to do.
That's another challenge to overcome.
Because people, I remember back in the day, people would just get swirlies every day, from a big, jock bully, and like they need to do something to cope with it. I know, and a lot of people that were bullied, they end up being like these really bad people. You know what I mean? That would because they would get bullied and they feel isolated and all this other stuff, and then they just do terrible things.
That's how they interact with others. They don't know any better. I mean, if their parents been arguing and hitting each other, that's
and then
unconsciously you're gonna think about it. It's gonna be in your brain.
Yeah, you're just gonna want to hit other people.
Do the same thing,
to other people. Yeah, and it sucks.
Monkey see, monkey do. But one thing that I wish I would have learned when I was younger was how to strategize with bullies and things like that, because when it comes to me, I have a bad temper. I know that a lot of teachers and the system doesn't really want you to counterattack with physical, violence towards a bully. But most of the time when I was dealing with a situation, I will not even fight them. I will slap them.
Yeah.
And then most times it works, but then
sometimes
some other times you kind of feel bad because they were just not really that bad of a person. They were just not understood.
Yeah.
And you see them change, their attitudes towards you.
It could build
so
character.
you kind of, become the bad guy, but sometimes it makes me wonder, like, was that a really good solution? Was I wrong for that? It's just, You know,
and like sometimes
do
you
you
just
fight
have
violence
to,
with violence sometimes?
I feel like in situations there are times where you must fight violence with violence,
Right.
but there are times where you can fight violence.
You can just communicate
with nothing, with just showing that you can stand up for yourself and they won't fuck with you.
Mhm.
I know, because and I see it when I there's so many pets that my girlfriend has. I just watch all these different pets that interact with each other, and there's one dog comes up to a kitten, trying to just see it's a new kitten, and the kitten will just run away.
Just walk away.
Would be scared, right? But then there was one time where the dog would just run up, and like the dog isn't like trying to like go. It's more of just like anxious, like, oh, like this is a new pet.
Creature,
this is a new creature here. I want to inspect and stuff, and the cat ain't having it. So like the cat will if it's in its space, gonna give it a good
fight or
pawing.
flight.
You're gonna give a good pawing, and then after that everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also ways where you can stand up for yourself without violence, and you can really show that person like you mean business,
Right.
without, and I don't need to touch you to show you.
Yeah, because sometimes.
And I feel like that'll also earn respect from that person.
Sometimes fighting violence with violence will make things 10 times worse because, all right, let's say you fight that bully. Now that bully wants revenge and he has another group of friends. Now you get jumped with other people. So you're in a disadvantage regardless. But if you can try to solve it person to person, sometimes I feel like, when you go to T-shirts and you involve a lot of people, it kind of doesn't really work. I see that a lot often.
It doesn't. I don't
because
think
they kind of
really
like scold them, but they don't really deal with the problem itself. And then it makes you worse because now you told the teacher or you told
and everyone else
a
is gonna look at you.
security, and now they're like, all right, he wants to do that, we'll smack him even more, and then we'll make sure he doesn't tell nobody no more. And then we'll humiliate him. We'll make sure we threaten him not to say nothing. So it's just such a complex situation.
And it's so hard to talk to these bullies like the way that that we should diffuse situations.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to see you do that. They want the physical interaction. We just love chaos.
Right.
Us as humans.
Oh, but the first thing we do is if we see a fight, we make a circle. And we just crowd,
I remember there was a fight.
We're a bunch of spectators.
And I know you remember this. I remember there was a fight in our freshman year of high school. And it happened right in the front lobby. And I was in the middle of the hallway going to my locker. And out of nowhere, the whole entire hallway of people started running, and so my backpack got like brought in, and so I was surfing this crowd of people going to this fight. It was insane, and because people just love to see these physical interactions.
Right. We love confrontation. We love to spectate.
And we love to talk about it after too. It's crazy. Like the whole day we just talk about the fight, even though it was just like one punch and then nothing really happened.
One punch, one fall,
nobody
one
questions shit.
There was a week we had in freshman year. There was 10 fights in 5 days.
Yeah, that was great.
10 fights in 5 days.
Jeez.
That was the craziest.
I think that happened in my school too.
That was the craziest week. We and in the whole history of our time at school. It was insane.
Complete chaos.
Just complete chaos ensuing all over the place.
We love confrontation.
And us as humans, we just love the confrontation.
Confrontation makes us...
We love watching it. We don't like being in it, but we love to watch it.
Sometimes it's just like we all attracted to fire, even though we know it's dangerous, but
we're gonna test the fire anyway.
It's just the same scenario. So, geez. That's why I fear for us and this generation's coming up.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of there's more encouragement now more than ever not to fight.
Well, there's a lot more cyberbullies now than actual.
It's all on the internet now.
Now it's all the internet, and it's not even in person.
Damn,
it's a mental battle now.
You're lucky you'd be lucky to have a physical fight.
Oh yeah,
compared to a fight on Facebook.
You pray now for an actual fight.
Yeah,
I would love for them to just fight instead of talking on Facebook.
Yeah, that's why you see on YouTube now a lot of street fights when they do hashtag. Solve it with the gloves, put on the gloves and fight it. Just a bunch of kids that just now they fight it like boxing and just get it done with.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty cool. But
I remember
a lot of people don't get that privilege.
I'll see you on Twitter.
I remember there was
Let me log in real quick.
Yeah, I remember there was a time on in
5 o'clock Twitter war. Let's go, you and me.
I remember there was one gym class that I had. Anyone that was they had beef with another person during the gym.
Mm-hmm.
after gym, they would go when they go into the locker room. They go into the bathroom in the locker room, and they'd slap box in a stall.
I used to do that
in
too.
a stall.
I forgot about that.
Because it would be like a cage match,
Mm-hmm.
and like you just take out your frustrations right there, and then you were done.
When I was little, we would just slap box for fun, just see who would win. You know, that was that.
Yeah,
it was
I
that
remember
edginess.
those.
Yeah,
I remember those ones.
A lot of red marks.
You never really won any of those, did you?
Well, there was this one time.
There was this one time.
He tried. That's what mattered.
I mean, I remember just fighting, like play fighting on a trampoline when I was young, being outside, and you know, like play fighting with like John on a trampoline, and
I remember those days.
Back when you were younger, you didn't even know what depression and anxiety was.
yeah, I didn't know anything about that. I was just going out. I was happy. I was a happy kid. Okay, I was I remember getting beat up on a trampoline, feeling good about it. It was like, he hit me. You know, I was like, I'm gonna beat his ass tomorrow.
Right.
Right. And then a couple years later, I did beat him ass. You know.
Yeah.
Beat his ass, and then it felt good. Felt accomplished. It's just
nowadays they don't know. It sucks.
They'll never know.
They will. I don't think they'll understand. Like, the good times.
Hopefully, hopefully there's a couple that they do get kind of the same thing, or maybe even better. But the way it's looking, it's just that a good majority are not getting that benefit. That we keep talking about and stuff like that.
And you know what?
It's just like humanity. That's the main thing, to be human. A lot of people don't know how to be human.
And I feel like I feel like now it's up to us to teach our next generation, not just the generation that's coming up, but like the generation that we create, to be like us, to be better, because we understand, and we feel like that we need to give them the knowledge, that the proper knowledge and the proper way of coming up,
right?
Because these people now are just giving them these phones at six years old or whatever.
Right.
They shouldn't be getting phones until they're at least in middle school
or never,
or just never. But at least in middle school, because I know a lot of people do not live near a middle school. It's very hard to find someone that lives near it, and so like having a kid go that far should have a phone that can only call.
Well, like those track phones and the
I used
prepaid,
to have that when I was
prepaid
when
ones.
I was a kid.
You know something, I do have to say that when you said that we need to teach, these kids how to behave and things like that, you also gotta understand that that's a double-edged sword, because it's happening to us right now that we have the old school people, our parents, our grandfathers, grandmothers, telling us how to live based on their lives.
Yeah.
So that's just like kind of selfish for us to try to give advice to a new generation that deals with completely different problems. Like, the best thing we can do is show them exactly a lifestyle that they may like, and they can look up to. But I just feel like, okay, this new generation kind of has to deal with what they're dealing with.
You can't really tell them what to do, but you can lead them onto a good
because
path.
you're gonna get frustrated because a lot of people are not gonna listen to you.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad about yourself, you doubt yourself, but in reality, you gotta be that person that's happy with himself. And then people look up to that,
I also feel like our generation, it would be a lot easier for our generation to guide the next generations, because we've gone through the change, the technological change pretty much of everything. Because we went from being a kid when dial-up was the rad trend, and now now everything is just instant gratification. You know what I mean?
Like,
so we had grown up in the transition.
We're in between two worlds. We're the middle children.
Yeah, so we would understand them a lot better than our parents or our grandparents understand us.
Because we're in between two worlds.
Yeah, I feel like we would understand more than any other generation would to their
for their own purpose.
Yeah, it's like you can lead a horse to a fountain, but you can't make him drink. So.
Right.
Yeah. We must guide.
Show them a better path. Show them a better path, and hopefully they make some good decisions based on what they see. And
there's a lot of like selfish acts that a lot of like the older generations are doing, because they know they're gonna die.
They can just blame,
because they know that their time is running out, and so they will screw everything up because they don't care, and because they're gonna die anyway. And
it's the ego,
Yeah, it's just ego. It's just big egos, and and they just love to point fingers at people, and that doesn't help anybody.
And also, let me say too that we trying to make this new generation trying to see a certain lifestyle or certain habits to follow and see if they they can really benefit from it. but there's a lot of bad influences out there. You have, artists, giving the wrong advice. You have politicians trying to give you bad advice. That we don't really think about it. I mean, for example, you see all the rappers now on YouTube and SoundCloud getting famous and stuff like that over, lyrics that actually affect you in a negative way, and then look at what they're doing. Look at all the drugs they're taking.
Yeah, like the music videos and
they're
stuff.
getting tattooed their whole body, their rainbow color hair just to impress a certain generation. They look like clowns.
Yeah.
And we follow them, we worship them. And there's, for example, the perfect example is XXX Tentacion. He has a lot of fans because they can relate to his depression and his anxiety and all his issues. But you gotta understand where he comes from. He comes from a poor neighborhood in Florida. He had no father figure. He had a lot of problems dealing with society in general. He had cases where apparently he hit his girlfriend. He did a lot of violence act, and we still worship that. And he got shot down in Florida riding his BMW, full of money. He had a Gucci bag full of money, and they just robbed him and they just killed him. And now he's a legend. But if you really think about it, like who he was as a person, it was just a dark person that he was lost, and he was trying to find himself and trying to do anything. But it comes to a point that you really can't get out of that cycle, especially when you're in the media. So now you have all these kids worshiping him and doing all these things to try and keep up that lifestyle and to be honest with your depression and things like that. But there's no solution to it.
Well, it's
so
like
he tried though in a certain way, but it just didn't really kind of get there. You know.
And I feel like the media and everyone creates martyrs out of the wrong people.
Right. It's money. They make money out of that. It's easy.
They just create. They make people. They turn people into martyrs once they get killed. Especially a lot of the rappers and stuff.
Right. They turn them into legends just so they can market more money out of them and stuff like that.
Well, it's just like why do you think the Joker movie is so popular? Like, there's a reason why people are so into it, and it's one of the I think it is the highest grossing rated R movie now. There's a reason for that. It's relatable.
It's also the
a lot of people could see.
Too.
Yeah, people could really see and really relate to this movie.
People like we talk about, they're attracted to that dark personality traits. They're attracted to that danger.
And like in the movie, when you watch it, you understand you empathize with the character.
Right.
You empathize and
that's why it's such a different kind of movie.
When people have these similar mental health issues. You can really see it, and that's those people emphasize or empathize more with the character in the movie, and I feel like that's
it's
why
very mainstream right now.
The writing for this movie I think was phenomenal.
You see, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really comment on that too much.
I wasn't trying to.
From what I've seen, it's just that the way he coped with his problems is what people are attracted to. He just went full. 180 change. He got what he wanted in a negative kind of way. Even though I haven't seen the movie. But he did use violence, right? He did use violence to get what he wanted.
Yeah.
So it just makes you think.
It's like a last resort kind of thing. It's like, well, like what do you get?
It's either this or just keep living in misery. So he just went all out in a kind of negative way.
Well, it describes what happens to a character when he's put in a very negative environment with like no positive views,
no mentor, no guidance, no
father,
nothing,
nothing.
And that same society just points at you and tells you you're nothing. So it's just alright. I'll go back at everybody then, I guess.
I'll give that. Yeah.
But you can't. You could, but you know how you're gonna end up with. You're gonna end up not in a such positive way, or you can just kind of build what you can and just slowly move up in life and just be patient with it, because those same people are gonna change too. Everything is changing. I know the presence, may suck right now. It may suck for a few years, but everything changes. You never know, So that's why, when we act out of anger and impulse in the moment, you gotta really reflect on we're always changing. Everything is not the same. So you can't just act on anger at the moment, because you can change your whole life and it's done.
Yeah. Things should just turn on a dime. I don't know why my snap didn't work, but yeah, everything can just turn on a dime in an instant. And it's so crazy. Like, you could just do one thing and it just affects everything.
Yeah, you could just watch porn all day.
And it makes you wonder the whole outcome.
Just watch porn all day.
Yeah, watch porn all day, man. It's all easy.
That's a whole other thing. Man.
What's your thoughts on that?
What, porn?
Yeah. And that seems to be a crazy addiction that skyrockets.
I mean,
like,
what really are the benefits of porn? Think about it. I mean, really, what? Like,
besides
instant,
visual, it's just a bunch
besides
of
instant pleasure and just being able to get off.
It's just visual.
Yeah.
Just I guess you can question everything in life and just see what's the benefit of it. And porn is just one of those that there's really no benefits to it. If anything,
it's just there. It's just there to give you.
To cope.
Just slight pleasure in the moment.
Right.
And then just continue.
Well, there's a reason why it's free online. There's a reason why you can just access it. You know,
If we were meant to, watch porn, you could have, seen, it should have been like a natural thing, but of course it's not. It's man-made, so it's some art, artificial. So it's like mostly artificial. Everything artificial. It doesn't really work.
Yeah, mostly it's mostly artificial. They just get people. They just get actors to
of course,
on camera.
Yeah, it's a lot of stage stuff and
very staged.
But once again, the mind loves the story.
And it's so easy to get. You see a lot of young people getting into that really fast, and it is an addiction. A lot of people don't talk about it. They say like it's normal because every guy masturbates, or like a lot of women masturbate and stuff like that. They watch porn, like it's normal. But just because a lot of people are doing it doesn't mean that it's positive. It's negative. But people don't realize that, it affects your mood. It affects.
It has the potential to be.
It affects your brain because it gets instant gratification so much that it damages the cells.
And then
so when the real world comes in, the real sex, you won't be able to perform. It's just
it'll make you not even want to go out after. He's like, I'm gonna
exactly all your energy.
I'm just gonna nap now.
I'm just gonna go to bed, and I'm gonna, my oxytocin levels are extremely.
I get hungry right now. I want to eat garbage.
Yeah, well, that's another. Yeah, well, goes right back to the have some sugary.
Have some
products. And
have
some cookies.
Sugar.
It's like I'm feeling good now. I'm just gonna chill out.
It just gives you this expectation that all right, you see, models, looking girls, having sex, and you think that you can get one of them, and you have like an expectation now. You expect a perfect girl, but it's not really like that.
It's not gonna happen like that.
The real world is all about like actual interaction. And sure, physical attraction is a main thing, but nobody's perfect, and they don't show you that in porn videos,
And it's so funny, like when they.
It's a fantasy.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's so staged. They can stage different like positions.
Oh, it's so bad.
And so like if once you like, because I know a lot of men will do this. They'll watch these things, them doing this weird position, and they're like, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna just go next time I fuck someone. I'm gonna just take that woman in that way, try to put it in that way, and then you mess up, and then the girl's just like, what are you doing?
That's how you get a cramp. Yeah, because your body's not used to it, and that's the most humiliating thing that can happen. You just get a cramp and just lie there in pain.
Yeah,
because you tried doing something that a professional knows how to do.
Yeah, a professional. I am the professional.
So you see, it's just I don't know, man.
I feel like just porn is just negative in general.
It has very negative side effects that are very.
I just don't even watch it anymore.
It's just like every pleasure that you get so fast is just not really good.
I haven't watched it in so long. I don't even care for it anymore.
Good,
like
man.
I don't. That kind of stuff is just.
That's why
I feel like it's just toxic.
That's why everyone needs to do No Nut November.
There's so many. From a spiritual level, there's a lot of groups and cultures that they don't practice that, and then you have the heroes in the internet with the NoFap and trying to like inform people that something ain't right here, and it's just kind of good that we have at least a little bit of guidance towards that aspect, because a lot of people realize that and they don't exactly know what the problem is until. Not that it's too late, but now it's so hard to get out of that problem.
Addiction is an addiction.
Exactly.
No matter what it be, it could be different substances. It's still going to have the same effect.
We become addicted to We can become addicted to anything.
Anything that can make us forget our pains and troubles is just so
it's a coping
easy.
Mechanism.
Right. Survival in a sense.
Yeah, because it'll start as a coping mechanism and then it'll become an addiction. So like people
and you
will
need more and more.
Because people will watch YouTube videos as a coping mechanism to to get away, but then it'll become an addiction, and then they just keep watching these videos. Like I'm supposed to go to work in an hour. Let me watch this 45-minute video. Oh, I'm late for work.
And your whole day could have been ruined.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
whole day's ruined. You
got no energy.
You get in trouble from your boss, get fired, and then then you go back to the YouTube video.
Worst case scenario. But yeah,
go back to basics,
definitely,
man.
Definitely.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's just how can you deal with this and be the other way around, because it seems that when you practice all these good habits and you eat healthy, you exercise, you interact with people, you don't follow the norm, you don't watch TV shows, stuff like that, just to stay in the present and just have the most energy that you can have. It seems that a lot of people seem to bring you down, like they want you to be in that same level of energy where they want you to watch
So
TV.
you don't want them to be better than you.
They want you, to waste your time. It's just,
I see that with parents a lot too. They don't want their
How can you go to that higher level of energy and progress if a bunch of people, majority, just want you to stay with them, and then give you advice, but they're not even doing it themselves. It's just so ironic,
And like you were saying with the parents thing, I feel like any parent that tries to not make their kids feel better than, have their kids be better than they were, I feel like is selfish.
Right.
And
that should be the main goal,
I feel like parents should teach their kids to be better than how they were. And if
so the next generation gets better and better and better.
If a parent doesn't want a child to be like that, I feel like it's selfish.
Well, it comes to the ego. It comes to them being not happy with themselves, so they don't want you to be happy. You're the cause of their suffering. You were not planned or stuff like that. So, stuff like that. The little details. But it really affects you growing up if
It does. You're only hurting your children.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And then you're going to end up hurting yourself because you don't want to see your kid, in the streets and stuff like that, in jail. So now you kind of stab yourself twice.
Yeah, and then you're not going to get taken care of when you get too old to not be able to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
And then if you made sure that your kid would be better than you, then you got it set.
Wouldn't that be so nice to know that your son or your daughter is gonna take care of you when you get older? That somebody actually cares and that all your investment actually paid off. Yeah. So imagine the other way around.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's like nah.
You're on your own again.
Yeah. Having a child is like an investment.
Well, everything is an investment.
Yeah. Having a child is definitely an investment because once at the end of the road. They as long as it you
benefit from them.
Right,
imagine seeing greatness, coming from your DNA, your genetics.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I created that.
Yeah,
that's my boy.
It should feel great. Like wow,
girl.
His development is amazing. But a lot of people are just better than me. He has more money than me. Oh no.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Hell
especially how awkward would be in family gatherings if your son is better than you or getting more money than you. Where instead it could have been something to be proud of, my son is this and that, it's great, but the way you're seeing it has to be about you,
Yeah.
It's never that evil thinking.
And you should never let it ever be about you.
No.
It should.
Because as corny as it sounds, we're all connected, that's just how it works. You can either do it in a positive way or in a negative way, but either way, you're connected. It's just, you choose whatever you want to do. But don't be mad. Don't be complaining to everybody else or putting other people down when you realize that you did it wrong.
100%. It's so true. People need to understand that being connected is really important because if you don't interact and you don't do all these other things with people. And you just stay by yourself, stay isolated.
Right.
Then you are, it's gonna be a corny thing. You be disconnected from disconnected from the force type of saying.
Right. Natural energy.
And you can't, and then you're an outlier now, and everyone else is over here. If you just stay connected and you bring positivity and you think about the collective and not just only about yourself, you should think about yourself. But not all the time. You need to think about everybody, because if you don't give everybody the same, if you're not positive with everybody, then no one's gonna be positive to you, and then that'll also affect you.
Right.
But if you're not, it's like it's an Ouroboros pretty much.
Right. But if you really think about it, I understand your point of view, but the way I see it though is that even that kid that's in his room doing nothing and just making his life even worse is still connected. Because there's somebody that actually cares, somebody that influences that kid. That kid influences somebody else. So you are connected to something, but you're connected in a way that you don't want to be connected in that, you don't want to be that person. You can be so many things and connect with so many people and different outcomes. But now you're just that kid that's making other people's lives a little bit more miserable, and you're making your own life miserable. So now you're just stuck in that connection that you don't want to be part of. So now you're just that character that nobody likes. You know, you're just stuck. You know, so you're connected in a way, but you're disconnected at the same time.
And like the people that interact with that person, like if they're not being the person to to do something about this person's vibe is very negative, and it's bringing me down. Why don't you try to figure out what is wrong, why this person is negative, and see if there's a possibility to make it positive.
And you know what? I feel like a lot of people try, but like we're being conditioned again to think that it's gonna be easy. What? We're there for like 1-2 days, a week, and then if we see no change, we give up on them. We're like, all right, I tried. No, you didn't. Happen. Yeah. You know, it takes a lot of time. You know, a lot of patience, but
and you also have to. And that person,
it's a project. It's a project.
So that certain person needs to have the consent in themselves to
consent.
Pretty much. That's
a funny word.
Yeah, no, has to have the consent pretty much in their mind to know that they can do it, that they can change. People don't, and some people they just don't want to change. They hate. They hate change. A lot of people just.
It's
hate
fear.
Change. Yeah, it's fear of change.
They can hate it, but it just comes down to fear, man.
And comfortability. You get way too comfortable.
That too. It's just that if you never knew, like if you never know what the other side looks like, then how are you gonna go there? You know, if the fence is so high that you can't even see the greener, pasture, and how are you gonna know? You know,
gotta jump that fence.
You're just stuck in that world now. You know, and exactly, you say you have to jump that fence, but if you never seen nobody jump that fence around you in that environment, how do you know that you can even jump that fence? You don't even think about it. You know, so you just you're just doing whatever everybody else is doing. But let's say you see somebody jump that fence, and now you just, what happened to that person? You know, where did he go? What's going on? Then it just, and you notice how they did it, so you jump the fence too if you want to. If you have that, you have that drive. But if you don't see nobody else doing it, and you don't know what the other side is, you're gonna stay stuck in that, in that environment.
Only a select few will make that first jump.
Right, but it feels like we're having less and less of those selective, fews. A lot of people are losing that nerve, that edge.
That's right.
And it's sad because
we're lacking a lot of leadership.
Yes. I was just about to go into that.
Like J. Cole says, no role models.
Yeah. There's no more leaders than there are followers. We're all followers at this point. Everyone is mostly a follower, and you have to know that you are a follower and what you can do to change that.
And sometimes even if you're a leader these type of days, it seems like you're seen as a threat, and then you get a bad media coverage, or you get a bad reputation out of being your own and being a leader, so you can't even express that to other people. So it's
there's also sometimes where you feel it where you're a leader, but you're also a follower of another leader.
Right. That's always gonna happen.
Of leader following leader.
Right.
And that's a problem, I feel like, as well, because I feel like a specific leader that's at the top will influence the other leaders at the bottom to do certain things that may not be
but you never get
positive
to see
or negative. And the person that's a follower of the one specific leader will never see that. Mm-hmm. And will never know what is right.
It should be a simple circle of life, as funny as it sounds, but you don't even know who's in that circle no more.
Yeah.
You only see the puppet, or you don't get to see the actual leaders and how they do it and stuff like that. You don't get that type of education.
No one sees the strings, pretty much.
Like it's same scenario. You don't know what's on the other side because there's no leaders out there that
exactly.
So what can you do? Just be your average consumer. It comes back to that. So
if you want the ultimate, you got to pay the ultimate price.
Right.
Great line.
It's scary, just because they tell you not to go. They give you advice and motivation not to go the other path, or don't be a follower. But it seems like they're cutting the other path now. It's just like, all right, what if you want to go there, but they're just closing that bridge anyway. So now you're forced to kind of follow that, what everybody else is doing, so you can't even, you can, but it's just so hard and sometimes impossible to be your own,
own entity,
type of person. it's dangerous and it can be fatal to you, but at least you went the other way. At least you tried.
We need to desire a challenge.
Right. We need something we need a light.
We need the desire of a challenge.
You must overcome.
Because overcoming
something that you're passionate about. You know, not a challenge that is just forced upon you.
Oh yeah, no,
you know?
like a challenge of your own intention. Like,
has to be genuine.
It's just because it feels like the world threw that challenge to you, but a lot of people ignore that. You know, it's just like there's so many ideas every day that comes to you that probably are positive, but you just ignore them because you put yourself down or nobody else is doing it.
Life in itself is a challenge. I feel.
Well, yeah.
Life in itself is a challenge, and you must overcome this challenge.
Animals kill each other for survival. Of course, it's a challenge. You know, you're either a hunter or you're a prey. You know, so
choose.
You know,
choose wisely.
Right.
It's up to you to how you're gonna live your life.
Be the killer, be the prey. If you want to be the prey, know that there will be certain outcomes to that decision.
Even as a prey, you can be the best prey ever. I'll make sure I'm the best runner. You won't find me. I'll be the best at hiding. You know, like own who you are.
Be the best.
You
know?
Yeah,
be the best.
The worst thing is to be a scared prey or to be a out of shape hunter. You know, at least take ownership of who you are. There's nothing wrong with being a prey. Just know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can still have the best life. Have your own family. Do your own things. Because you gotta know who you are.
Yeah,
you know
how to,
how to deal with it. How to get better.
Yeah, create your own entity.
Right.
Live the life you want.
I know if I'm prey, I'll train. I'll make sure that lion doesn't get me.
Yeah.
I'll be the best runner ever.
I'll know how to get away.
Exactly.
I will escape.
I'll know what time they sleep. I'll know when I can get their food. I'll survive. That's what it's all about. It doesn't matter what you are. A lot of people want to be the greatest, but you can just, find out who you are exactly and just work with it.
If you're going to do something, be the best at it.
The younger you do it, the better for you. You
yep.
know, because you don't want to find out too late.
Start young.
You know, because it's going to get 10
Take
times
action
harder.
right now.
You know? You just got to let that ego go and just find out who you analyze situations and just work with them, Take that risk.
Take the step. Challenge.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself.
And if not, then don't be surprised when depression, anxiety, obesity, all this health, physical, mental problems just come.
Be aware that you create, you make the decisions that
will impact your life. Your own body will self-destruct if you're not living the life that you're, maybe not meant, but like the life that you at least aspire.
Make your decisions wisely. Like think this stuff through.
Yeah. You have to really put a lot of thought into certain things. So
make clean.
But not too many thoughts either, because you're gonna be thinking your whole life.
Yeah.
It's a good balance.
You have to find a balance.
Willpower and analyzing things and just using your brain.
Just don't make poor decisions and then wonder why you got the result that you got.
Right. And invest.
Yeah.
For others, if you're gonna have a family, invest.
Support the brotherhood.
Check out JC.
Sisterhood.
I forgot the song with JC where he just explains finance, and
Hard Knock Life.
No, it's pretty recent.
Oh, no.
It's pretty recent. So, yeah, basically, invest in everything you do.
Invest now
for the future.
Yeah. That's why, I know a lot of people. They always tell people that when they turn 21, to put in a 401k into their job. If their job has a benefits for 401k to immediately put it in. So even if you're working there and you'll have that extra money for when you get older, even though if you might not be working at that job, you still have that.
Plan ahead, man. Plan ahead.
Yeah.
I did that.
A lot of people get annoyed when they hear that advice. Don't talk about that again. 401k.
Finances.
I want my money now and stuff like that, but
you gotta work, buddy.
3-5% of your paycheck is nothing.
It just sucked for you when you're that old and you didn't do it and you don't get anything.
You gotta get another job part time just to survive and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's killer.
Yes, very much.
Yep.
Wow, mental health really does a lot.
It's a lot
of things going on, and we need to be aware of what's happening in the world we live in now.
Or at least have an idea. You don't gotta know everything, but just have an idea for yourself.
I keep going back to this
it's crazy.
Study, the suicide rate study for that's
No,
connected by males,
it's a good
females,
point.
and age.
You know, it's just because.
And like I'm just reading all these facts, like it's so crazy because the one that I said, the male to female
right.
ratio, it's the one that I said 15 to 24 is the second highest, next to, well, it's also tied with 25 and 34, which also makes sense, right?
Yep.
But the highest of
Middle
male
life.
male to females is actually 75 plus. Age
Years
75
old,
and
yeah.
up is actually the highest of suicide rates.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
I feel like it's because men when they get older,
Right.
and once they're not able to
They lose
take
that
care
energy.
of, once they're not able to take care of themselves, they want out.
You know,
It's an ego. I feel like it's more of an ego
right,
thing.
I was just gonna say it's very
I feel like-
egotistical.
I feel
you
like
know?
it's very
But
ego.
that's part of being also a man. You know, you gotta understand that you will eventually have an ego. That's called confidence, quote unquote. But it's just part of who you are. That's how society keeps building up. Somebody's gonna take over you, and you just gotta accept that it is. You're gonna get older. You're not gonna be that man that you used to be no more. But at least you were, you know.
Yeah.
So you just gotta move on.
Yeah.
You know, don't be afraid of being that old man that can't take care of himself and pees on his pants all the time. You will be that guy regardless.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you guess how many males commit suicide that are 75?
No.
3,291. Bro, that's a lot of
crazy.
men that are 75
A
plus.
year.
I think that was just in 2016.
Alright, so a year. Like,
Yeah,
A year.
2016 over a
add
lot.
that up throughout the years, and if that's usually the average, I guess, or it's gonna get higher. I keep adding those numbers. It's a lot of males, you know.
That is a lot of people, and there's only 510 females that are 75 plus that have committed suicide.
But that's another topic too. That you gotta be aware that it seems that with the social conditioning and politics, that females do have a certain advantage towards life, and that's great for them. Take advantage of that. But as a man, you have to be aware that you kind of have to now deal with a certain new social conditioning and politics in a smart way.
And we also have
you gotta be careful with what you say. You gotta be careful with how you come up with things, because you could just lose almost anything, like everything at the same time.
It's a very risky time.
Yeah.
So it's not that victim mentality. It's that awareness mentality. That all right, I see how it is. You can't really change the thing. One man alone cannot change it. So you just have to adapt. That's the whole thing with life. You just have to adapt.
As hard as
to
it may be.
So
I mean,
that's my intake on that.
It's also crazy that there's now actually more females on Earth than there are men.
There's always been like that.
But it's
males die over. Men
are
they do.
Well, men.
But now
men
it's a big gap.
It's a big gap.
If I can find the gap later.
well, men are disposable. So.
And the men who are alive are mostly, a lot of them are lost, and they don't know exactly how to cope and deal with things. Because it's so easy to make decisions that later on you're gonna regret real bad. So it comes to all those factors, and where you live, where you come from too, how you were raised, things like that, and it's just not looking good for a majority of people. Growing up poor with no family structure, to not knowing the educational system. You don't know really how to progress. You're not technically smart or have a skill, so that's why a lot of suicides, a lot of people on drugs, a lot of people that are homeless. There's a high percentage of homeless people that they don't have of course they don't have a good family structure, but they have no fathers, and they're involved in criminal activities, drugs. So it comes back to that, man. It's not looking good, and to get that, to be in a better position, to get better at this seems so hard as a society, because we all have to be aware of it. But a lot of people don't want to be aware of it, or they're aware of it and they use it for their own advantage, because you can make money out of poor people so fast. You can make them work overtime and not pay them what they're meant to be. So you can just be greedy and just know how to deal with the system. But not a lot of people want to deal, for the benefit of all of us, That's why, the world has to end at one point, and it's gonna be because of those traits. People taking advantage of others, people knowing how to deal with things, and other people that don't know how to deal with things. So a lot of people are gonna die. A lot of people are just gonna be miserable, and it's just, you decide who you want to be as long as you're aware of what exactly is going on around you. Because it comes back to like your connection and your awareness of your environment and yourself, what you're capable of and what you could achieve in the future.
Yeah.
So it's just so many things that you have to think, you have to analyze, and if you have that intuition to survive, you will survive. But a lot of people don't seem to have that intuition. They don't question things. They don't. Critical thinking is something that we're losing, day by day, and next thing you know, you're just stuck, with debt and things you don't want, and you just another man that's alive but dead, or you're actually dead, so there's no in between.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Makes sense.
Do you guys, I'm going to ask this weird question, do you guys have any regrets in your life?
I do have regrets in my life, and, the way I see it, of course, is as a learning experience, but you will always think about it. You will always think I always think about this in my head of going back in time with this mentality and just fixing my life. Everybody does that,
everybody does that.
But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
You have to maybe in the next life you will reincarnate, and maybe you'll have some type of knowledge, but you don't know that,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's just that you're dealing with what you have to do right now.
Yeah, I feel like
you can have regret and take a few minutes to analyze and feel bad about yourself, but it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
So just move on and just that's how I deal with it.
Yeah,
so
I feel like everyone's natural.
No, I agree. Like I do have regrets, not many, but like I believe everything kind of happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that I wish. Same thing. If I had the mentality I have now, if I can go back and change some stuff, a couple things I would change, and a couple mistakes that I might have made, I'd probably go back and fix. But once again, it's nothing you could really do.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is you can learn from those mistakes, and you can think about what I can do to make my future better with the knowledge I have now. So if you look at it from that perspective, you could change your whole life. You could change your whole mindset like that over time. So, and that's a very healthy way to approach it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Believe me, you don't want your life to be perfect. You will always.
Well, once again,
the greatest people in history have a lot of regret.
Perfect is boring. Perfect is also boring. So.
I feel like it's just natural for people to have regrets, and it's just a matter of how you handle those regrets.
Yeah, somebody has no regrets, they're lying.
Yeah,
it's like okay.
Nobody has a perfect life.
Yeah,
nobody.
Everybody, everyone loves to create the false narratives. Of like what they can do, it's like what they could have done to fix it. If they can go back in time, it's just all a matter of like what Andrew said, like how you learn from them, and you.
Yes, like how will you take the knowledge you have now, and how will you apply it to your future to make tomorrow better?
To make yourself better.
Decision again.
And how can you influence those around you to give that positive energy? What can you do with the knowledge you pertain to now?
Or when somebody seeks that advice. Looks up to you and seeks that advice, you got that already.
Sometimes
you've been through that. You've been through war.
Sometimes you may have to be that mentor in certain situations.
Yeah. The worst thing is to have somebody come up to you and you don't know because you never experienced it. So now you got two people that don't know how to deal with a certain scenario.
Yeah,
so that's the worst thing.
Yeah, it's like someone asking you for directions and you don't know what to tell them. So you just kind of feel bad, like, oh, I really wish I knew the answer. Yeah.
So, it kind of works that way,
Yeah. Before we wrap up here, want to give a shout out to our channel sponsor.
Yeah, so our channel sponsor is All Gains Apparel. Definitely go check out allgainsapparel.com. We have a lot of great apparel and great stuff. We're gonna have some more discounts coming out in 2020, so definitely keep an eye out on that. Also, you've noticed that these are all on these podcasts have now been all on Anchor.fm. So thank you, Anchor, for having us use your site, and we are also on Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can, and it will be on all of our descriptions on each podcast. Definitely, if you're watching this on All Gains Mindset, make sure you on All Gains Mindset YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe, like, and leave us a comment on what you thought about this podcast. I really liked how this podcast went, honestly. This episode was really good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely one of our favorites so far. Definitely check out our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages. Definitely follow us and leave us a question you'd like to ask. Maybe we can answer maybe in a podcast or answer it in a video.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one, guys. It was good.
Yeah, it was really good. And I think that'll wrap that up for us there. So thank you, Joe, for coming in.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, man. We
Definitely.
really appreciate you having you on.
Yeah, it was really a fun time.
This is how we develop, by just talking and communicating and seeing what other people think, and that's how we grow. So it's a pleasure being here.
Appreciate every moment.
I appreciate
All right, guys. We'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.